So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Emilie, the last new character that we're going to see before Natlin or 5.0, and I'm going to be going through her kit, team comp, artifacts, and weapon options, and I'll also be giving you guys my thoughts on whether or not you should pull for her. Not going to lie, I was very hesitant about making this video when I was planning, simply because of how I haven't played Genshin in over a month's time because of how I was in Japan. But either way, this would be a good way for me to reconnect with Genshin. Before I start today's video, I just want to let you guys know that I'll be making more Genshin videos later this month as the release of 5.0 approaches, so that's that, and let's get straight into today's video. So normally in my guide or pre-release videos, I'll be explaining characters' kits in as much detail as possible because sometimes a character's kit can appear more complicated than what it actually is. But for Emilie's case, her kit is pretty simple, and so I'll be summarizing her kit and weave in some advice on what I think is going to be her optimal playstyle instead. So Emilie is a 5-star Dendro support that is similar to other Dendro supports that are already in the game, except her kit specializes in supporting the burning reaction. The reason why I think she's more of a support than a main DPS is because in burning teams, there's usually another main DPS character, which I'll talk about in detail later. Emilie's normal, charged, and plunging attacks are pretty ordinary, so I'll skip over that. And the main part of her kit is her elemental skill, where she summons a lamp that consistently deals Dendro damage while applying Dendro as well. When enemies that are inside the lamp or are close to the lamp's field get afflicted with burning, the lamp creates a stack called scent, and the lamp picks it up and levels up every 2 scent that are picked up. At level 2, the lamp deals increased damage and the AoE of the lamp's attack also increases. One stack of scent can be created every 2 seconds, meaning that it will take 4 seconds in total for the lamp to reach level 2, counting from the time that Emilie uses her elemental skill. Apart from this, you'll also have to keep in mind that if the lamp doesn't pick up any stacks of scent at level 2 for 8 seconds, then it will return to level 1. And if you're wondering how good is Emilie's Dendro application, luckily you won't have to worry about this because of how the duration of the lamp is 22 seconds, while the cooldown for it is only 14 seconds. So this means that her lamp will always be on the field applying Dendro. Next up is Emilie's elemental burst, which when used will summon a level 3 version of her skill's lamp, and it will also replace the existing one if there is one. Of course, with the level going up by 1 again, the damage that is dealt will also increase, and since the energy requirement for her burst is only at 50, this means that it is relatively easy for Emilie to use her burst on cooldown. After the level 3 enhancement of the lamp runs out, the lamp will immediately become level 1, and if a lamp was replaced when the burst was used initially, then the new level 1 lamp will have its duration refreshed as well. Essentially, Emilie's skill and her elemental burst are the main part of her kit, if that makes sense, and because of how her burst energy requirement is so low, as I just said, you should make sure that whenever Emilie's lamp is up, it is at its level 3 state, dealing the most damage that it can. And then finally, she also has these 3 passive skills that also shape her main playstyle of being a burning reaction support. Her first passive greatly reduces the burning damage that on-field characters take, which is handy I guess as it reduces the healing needed for the whole team, but that said, you will probably still want to run a healer or a shielder just because it just makes sense for a team to have one of that character. Her second passive just makes her skill deal 1 extra instance of damage every time her level 2 lamp picks up 2 stacks of scent, which makes the extra stacks of scent have a bit more of a use as they would normally just be on the floor after you reach level 2. Her final passive gives herself a damage increase against enemies affected by burning with every 1000 attack points that she has, giving a 15% damage increase, and you can get a maximum damage increase of 36% from this. That is it about her kit, and it is very simple. Honestly, it is a lot more bland than what I initially expected, and compared to a lot of previous 5-star characters that are on the limited banner, Emilie really does lack something. I don't really know what she is missing, so if you guys have any suggestions on what could whoever's have done to improve this character, let me know in the comment section down below. Alright, moving on to Emilie's artifact and weapon options. This part should also be pretty simple as well. In terms of artifacts, you would want to either run 4-piece tenacity for the team-wide attack buff, 4-piece deepwood for increased Dendro damage by Emilie, or 4-piece unfinished reverie, which is kind of her best in slot artifact set because of its buff associated with burning. However, one thing to note is that the unfinished reverie set isn't the most resin efficient set to farm for, since there aren't really a lot of commonly used characters which benefit from this set, and so keeping this in mind, I'd say go for either of the first 2 sets that I mentioned. You probably have farmed tenacity and deepwood countless time already, and this way you can save your resin for more productive things like getting essential materials instead. As for the main stats, go for EM or attack percent for the sands depending on how much EM you get from your substats already, Dendro damage bonus for the goblet, and EM for the circlet. Essentially, you will want to build her with the same stats as Nahida's. You will want to have as much EM as possible since burning damage is amplified by EM. As for weapons, to be honest, Emilie has so many 4-star options that just work fine to the point that it simply isn't worth it to pull for a signature weapon. Yes, it is her best in slot weapon, increasing the damage dealt to burning enemies while also giving extra energy to the point that you probably don't need energy regen anymore, but I don't think Emilie's damage output is going to be so high to the point that you will want this, and that you will want to start building her like a main DPS. And so some 4-star weapons in my mind that I think will work well with her are the Dragon's Bane and Favonius Lance. Dragon's Bane has a passive which increases damage dealt to enemies afflicted with Pyro, which works works with burning too. And the reason why I mentioned Favonius Lance is not because of how Emilie needs that energy, but instead it is useful to generate extra energy for the entire team. And I guess an alternative 5-star option would be the Staff of Homa if you really want to maximize her own personal damage output, but personally I won't recommend this. Next up is Emilie's team comp. As I mentioned already, she should only really be played in a team where burning happens. I mean, yes, you can use her as your standard Dendro support, but in that case there wouldn't be any point in pulling for her, as you can simply use the Dendro Traveler and get the exact same results. With that said, a burning team would usually have a secondary elemental reaction involved so that the damage output of the team would be high enough to make it viable in the first place. Hence there would be a main DPS character who isn't Dendro on the team, and it is for this reason that I don't think Emilie is going to be a main DPS character when played in this way, as this role would already be fulfilled by another character. Most burning teams would have a Dendro applying character, a Pyro applying character, a Crow main DPS, and the last slot is a flexible slot for another support character or a healer/shielder. Previous burning teams that already exist would have Nahida as the Dendro applying character, given that her entire kit gives a lot of top tier elemental reaction buffs, but she does have one disadvantage of having a slightly inconsistent Dendro application. I think Emilie would be better than Nahida when it comes to consistent Dendro application, and this is unfortunately the only impactful advantage that Emilie has over Nahida. But either way, the Pyro applying character doesn't really have to apply their element as consistently as Emilie does, because of how once an enemy becomes afflicted with burning, they will be applied with Pyro consistently. So realistically speaking, even a character like Bennett will work in this slot. If you want less staggering for the main DPS of the team, then you can use Thoma instead, which has a decent shield for being a 4-star character. Trust me when I say Thoma is viable. I don't have Zhongli on my account and I've never found any problems when using Thoma in my Buta team, so please trust me on this one. Then for the main DPS, go for either Ayaka or Ganyu, and for the final spot of this team, low-key you could run Kazuha if you're thinking of becoming an Emilie main who would want to min-max this team. Kazuha will buff the Crown main DPS's damage, and we all know how strong Kazuha is, and so I'll just leave it here. And this is basically the team that I would play Emilie in if I have her on my account. But since this video is recorded before her release, I can't test this team out for you guys, and all I can say is that trust me, it should work. But of course, at the end of the day, you can swap out any of the characters that I mentioned and use whichever one you prefer instead. I know there's going to be some of you guys out there who don't have Ayaka or Kazuha, and that's not a problem. As long as you follow the structure for this team, you should still be able to play Emilie and make the most out of this character according to your own account. In conclusion, normally I would include a constellation section in my Genshin guide videos for the wells out there, but as I said earlier, Emilie lacks the uniqueness that would compel me to say that you guys should pull for her, and so I don't think you guys are going to want to listen to me talk about her constellations. Burning is a very niche reaction in the game, and I don't think it is worth investing into it for new players. Given that 5.0 is also around the corner, I would say saving for Natlin characters would probably be the move here. I'm not saying that she is a bad character by any means. She will be the best Dendro character for any burning team in the foreseeable future, and if you're a super veteran in Genshin and would like to mess around with this off-meta playstyle/team, then I'm sure you would find Emilie performing very well. If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!